Hi everyone, this is Selena. Welcome back to one of my videos. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name's Selena and I release a crochet tutorial every week. And this week I'm bringing to you this cocoon shrug slash cardigan. I absolutely adore it. It was really a labor of love. I absolutely loved it. It's really easy. So as always, the free pattern will be up on my blog, selenaveronique.com. The link is in the down bar, and the pattern goes from sizes S up to XXXL. So check that out for which size you want to crochet. And this is a cocoon shrug, so it is created with a granny square, a large granny square as its basis. So once we finish the granny square, it is sewed together and then the beautiful sleeves are added with the chain arc edging on the sleeves. And then the front opening is also edged with a beautiful shell and delicate shell stitch design. So it's really fun and beginner friendly. And of course I will be taking you through the process step by step. So yeah. And so for this project, you will need, so I used 5 skeins of Red Heart Soft Baby Steps. I will be indicating in the down bar how many skeins of yarn you need for each size. I will be demonstrating size S. However, you can follow along my video tutorial and just check the pattern as you go along to create your size. So if you want to create a different size from size S, that's very easy. There are only a few tweaks, so definitely check out my my free pattern for that. So like I said, I will be demonstrating size S. And you will need 5 to 7 skeins of Red Heart Soft Baby Steps. And this is a beautiful yarn. I used shade 07 Light Blue. And this is 100% acrylic. And it is considered a medium 4 Aran weight yarn. And it's so soft and beautiful. It was a joy to crochet with this yarn. You will also be needing a 6mm crochet hook and a 5mm crochet hook, along with a pair of scissors and a tapestry needle, and also some stitch markers. However, I just used some loose ends of yarn. So for this project, I will be using US terms with British terms in brackets. And also, before I jump into the tutorial, I just want to thank you so much for all your support. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to my channel because that really helps me grow. And I also want to thank all my patrons who have joined me on Patreon. It really warms my heart, so thank you so much. I will be linking my Patreon account in the down bar also. And yeah, without further ado, I'm just going to jump into the tutorial. So to begin this tutorial, you will be making a slip knot. So just go ahead and make a slip knot, like so. Once you've made your slip knot, pop your hook through and gently tighten. To begin your granny square, you will be chaining 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Once you've chained 4, you will be slip stitching into the first chain that you created, like so. And this creates a circle into which we will be crocheting. So now that you've done that, you will be chaining 3, 1, 2 and 3. And this counts as our first double crochet. So what we are going to be doing is we are going to be working inside this center from going forward, and we are going to be fastening in this loose end as we go. So now now we are going to be placing 2 more double crochets inside this center. And so to create your double crochet, you will be wrapping your yarn around your hook and going into the center, pull up your yarn, and you have 3 loops on your hook. Take your yarn and pull through 2 loops, and take your yarn and pull through 2 loops, and this creates a double crochet. Now we are going to be making another double crochet, so just go ahead and do that, and this creates a cluster of 3 double crochets, and this is the beginning of this first round. So now chain 2, 1 and 2, go back into that center and place 3 double crochets. So just place a cluster of 3 double crochets inside that center, and as you can see, we are fastening in that loose end as we go. So 3, this is what we have. Now chain 2, 1 and 2, and go back with 3 double crochets into this center. So 1, 2, 3, and now we have, as you can see, 3 clusters. Now to finish off this round, chain 2, 1 and 2, and go back with a cluster of 3 double crochets inside that center. So 1, 2 and 3, chain 2, 1 and 2, and now to close off this round, we are going to go into the 3rd chain that we chained at the beginning and slip stitch. So just go through that 3rd chain at the top and slip stitch to close off this round. And this is the first round of our granny square. So as you can see, I'm just going to take my hook out just because it will be easier. So as you can see, we've got 4 clusters of 3 double crochets, and they are all separated with a chain 2, and this creates the corners. So this will make sense as we go along. But so now for round 2, you are going to be chaining 3, 1, 2 and 3, and this counts as our first double crochet. And what you are going to be doing now is turning your work, and the reason why we are turning our work, and we will be turning our work at every round, is that because if you don't turn your work whilst you are making a granny square, it does tend to look a bit twisted. So turning your work just enables this pattern to stay supple and straight. So I hope this is making sense, but I don't know if you've ever seen a photograph of a granny square where the person hasn't turned it at every row, and it does tend to look a bit wonky and weird. So just turn your work at every round, and I think it's a lot easier. Also, like, the pattern makes a lot more sense when you turn it round, but that's just me. So we've turned it round. This is our chain 3, so the first double crochet. What you are going to be doing is going back into this center, so this chain 2 space, which is a corner, and place 2 double crochets inside that corner. So just go ahead and place 2 double crochets inside that center, and now chain 2, 1 and 2. And so because this counts as our first double crochet, this is a cluster of 3 double crochets. Go back into that space with 3 double crochets. So 1, 2, and 3 double crochets. And this is what it looks like. And this is a corner, so I'll be going over this again as we go along, but just so you know, each corner going forward will be a cluster of 3, chain 2, cluster of 3. Now we are going to be going directly into the next chain 2 space from the previous row, so just go directly into that with 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, chain 2, 1 and 2, and go back into that center because this, not center, go back into that space because obviously this is a corner also. So just go back with 3 double crochets, 1, 2 and 3, and as you can see, this creates our granny square shape. So again, we've got this cluster of 3, chain 2, cluster of 3. Now go directly into the next space and place 3 double crochets, so 1, 2 and 3, and again this is a cluster of 3, chain 2, 3, and now go in directly into the next chain space from the previous row and place 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, chain 2, 1, 2, 2 and 3, and this is our last stitches and also a corner, as you can see, that we've just created. And we're just going to close off this round by slip stitching into the chain 3 at the beginning. So just go ahead and slip stitch at the top of that to close off round. And this is what we have. So this is what we have for round 2, and as you can see, this granny square is looking a lot like a granny square. So what's happened is that we now have not only corners like here and here, where we always place a cluster of 3, chain 2, a cluster of 3, but we also have simple spaces at the sides, and these are going to grow as the granny square grows, where we will be placing just simple clusters of 3 double crochets, but this will make sense as we carry on this pattern. So this is round 2 and the granny square is growing. So now for the next round we are going to be chaining 3, 1, 2 and 3. So this chain 3 counts as our first double crochet, and this is a what I will call a simple space. So that's where we will be placing a simple cluster of 3 double crochets. So just place 2 more double crochets into this stitch. So 1 and 2, and obviously because the chain 3 counts as our first double crochet, this is a cluster of 3 double crochets, and because this is a side stitch, I don't know if that's the name, but it's one of those non-corner stitches, a simple cluster of 3 double crochets is what is needed. And as the granny square is going to grow, you will have more and more simple clusters. So I hope that makes sense, and less corners, because obviously with it being a square you will only have 4 corners no matter what. So just bear that in mind. So as the granny square grows, these simple stitches, spaces, just clusters of 3 double crochets will grow, but we will still always have only 4 corners. So I hope I'm making sense. So now obviously this is a small granny square, so we can't tell for now, but this will make sense as you go along. So now we're directly going to go into the next space, and this is a corner. So as always, place 3 double crochets, 1, 2 and 3, chain 2 and place another cluster of 3, 1, 2 and 3, because obviously this is a corner, so it's always the same. 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets, go directly into the next stitch here, which is a simple cluster. So just go in with 3 double crochets, 1, 2 and 3. Now go into the next space, which is a corner, with 3, 1, 2, 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets, 1, 2 and 3 double crochets. So this is what we have, and now we have a simple a cluster of 3, 1, 2 and 3, and now go into the next space, which is also a corner, with 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, chain 2, 1 and 2, 3 double crochets, 1, 2 and 3, and go into the next space with a cluster of 3, 1, 2 and 3, and go into the next space with a cluster of 3, 1, 2, 3, chain 2, 1, 2, 3, and we finished this this round. And so to finish off this round, just go into that top stitch here as always to slip stitch it closed. And as you can see, as the granny square is growing, so are the side simple stitches spaces. So these are these spaces where we will be placing just clusters of 3 double crochets. So as you can see, these are going to grow as the granny square grows, and the corners obviously are just going to stay the same, 4 corners throughout. So I hope this is making sense. This is very easy. I am going to show you the next round, but if you do need extra help for this granny square, you can just rewind this video. It's a very simple process, or you can check out my blog where the free pattern is written down. Obviously this will be linked in the down bar. Okay, now so for round 4 you are going to be chaining 3, 1, 2 and 3. Turn your work like so, and now place 2 more double crochets within this same space. So 1 and 2, and this creates a cluster of 3 double crochets. So obviously we've just reached the corner, and now you are going to be placing 3 double crochets, of course. So 2, 3, chain 2, 1 and 2, and place 3 more double crochets within that corner space, as always in a corner. And now we've reached the side stitches. I don't know if they're called the side stitches, but anyways, so as you can see, this is growing. So in the next chain space from the previous row, just place a cluster of 3 double crochets, 1, 2 and 3, and another cluster of 3 double crochets, 1, 2 and 3, and go into the corner space and place 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, chain 2, 1 and 2, and go back with 3 double crochets, 1, 2 and 3. And now obviously we've got simple spaces, so just go ahead into the next space and place 3 double crochets, so 2 and 3, and into the next space 1, 2, 3, and then in the corner you will be placing 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets, and then in the next space 3 double crochets on their own, 3 double crochets on their own, and then in the corner 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets, and in the next space a simple cluster of 3. So I'm just going to let you carry this round off, and then I'll meet you back to show you what to do next. Okay, so I've almost finished this round. As you can see, I'm simply going to slip stitch to the chain 3 that we did, so slip stitch through that to close off round, and this is what we have. So as I said previously, the side stitches are growing like here, and then obviously the corners are staying the same, obviously 4 corners, so it's easy to do the granny square. Okay, so I will be letting you carry this pattern on. It's super simple, so obviously for the next round I am going to explain it briefly, but it will be a brief explanation. So chain 3, 1, 2 and 3, turn your work and place 2 more double crochets in that space to create a cluster. Into the next space just place a cluster of 3 double crochets, 1, 2 and 3, and into the next space place a cluster of 3, chain 2, 3 double crochets, because this is a corner, 1, 2, 3, chain 2, 1, 2, 3, and in the next spaces, so this space, that space and that space, you will be placing clusters of 3 double crochets. Then at the corner chain 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets, and then simple clusters of 3 double crochets, and then in the corners, as always, your corner stitches, and so on and so forth. And then when you reach the beginning, you will simply be slip stitching, and that is how our granny square is going to grow. So I hope that makes sense. So it's a really simple pattern, it's really easy to understand. If you need more help with this part of the project, just head to my blog selinaveronique.com. I will be linking the exact pattern in the description box, and also you can also rewind this video. So I hope this was clear. I'm back, and as you can see, I finished my square. I'm trying to show you on camera. I'm really pleased with the result, and I have crocheted 27 rows in total, so that's what you should have for size S for this project. Yes, 27 rows, and this is 77 centimeters across. So I'm just going to show you, I'm going to measure 77 centimeters, and that's 30.2 inches. Obviously this will all be written down on my blog selinaveronique.com, so don't worry. So yeah, so I'm really pleased with how this has turned out. Obviously I fastened off. Where did I fasten off? Yes, obviously for the last row I slip stitched and I fastened off. And now what we are going to be doing is just before we do anything else, to finish off this square, we are going to tighten the center slightly. So as you can see, I've pulled on the loose end gently, and now I'm simply going to be sewing this in. So just go ahead and sew the center in like so. So just, I'm going to sew it in quite well because you don't want your project to unravel. Okay, so I've sewed it in, and now I'm simply going to snip off this yarn. And what we are going to be doing now is creating the shrug shape. So as you can see, I've laid my project flat on the table, and what we are going to be doing is simply folding it in half symmetrically. So obviously this is a square, so it's not very difficult to do that. So just go ahead and fold your project in half. There we go. So this is what we have, and this is the center fold, and this is the top. Okay, so now what we are going to be doing is measuring 9 inches from the center fold here, the bottom, so where we folded. So just measure 9 inches like so. And I don't have a stitch marker, so I'm simply going to take a piece of yarn. Yes, you can either use a stitch marker or a piece of yarn, and then making sure that this part is very symmetric, obviously, because we are going to be sewing it in. Just attach your stitch marker on the 9-inch. When you reach 9 inches on that stitch, just attach the stitch marker like so. You will be doing the exact same on the other side. And now we are going to be sewing this in. So this side in, so this side, not this side, but this part. So from the stitch marker to the end of the project, we are going to be sewing it in. But first of all, I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So again, measure 9 inches, attach your stitch marker, and then I'll show you how to sew this in. Okay, so I am presently going to show you how to sew this part in, as I told you, from the stitch marker to the top. So let me just zoom in a bit. There we go. So you can see the stitch marker here. I am going to take a bit of a loose end. Well, it's not a loose end, it's a piece of yarn. And I've actually got quite a long piece of yarn. And I am going to attach it with my tapestry needle. So I've popped this piece of yarn on the tapestry needle. I'm going to attach it like so. So just do a double knot like this. Obviously this is way too long, but I will be tidying that up later. And now I am simply going to be using the mattress stitch to sew this in. So for the mattress stitch, you're simply going to go in one side and then into the other like so, and then into the other side, and then the other side. Obviously you can use any stitch that you prefer. This is just the stitch I'm going to go with. So just sew this in up to the top, and then I'll show you what to do next. Okay, so I'm back, and as you can see, I've stitched up to the very top of the project. Now what we are going to be doing is creating a knot very gently, so just create your knot however you prefer. So I'm just going to go into one stitch and then knot this like that, and that should do the trick. And also I am going to be sewing in this loose end quite a bit, so just to go ahead and sew in the loose end like so. Okay, so I've sewed in the loose end. Obviously you can now take off this piece, the stitch marker, and obviously repeat this process on the other side and tidy up your loose ends. And yeah, so once you've done the other side, I'll show you how to do the rest of the project. Okay, so I'm back and I've finished sewing both the sides in, and as you can see, the armholes have been created. This is what they look like. So what we are going to be doing now is taking the 5mm crochet hook to create our sleeves. And so to create our sleeves, so we are going to be attaching our yarn. I might zoom in a tiny bit. There we go. So we are going to be attaching our yarn to any stitch on the arm opening, and I'm going to tie it twice. What we are going to be doing is popping our hook through, and we are going to be chaining one, so chain one and go back into that same stitch with a single crochet. So go back in with a single crochet. So to create a single crochet, just go into the stitch, pull up a loop. You've got 2 loops on your hook, take your yarn and pull through 2 loops. And I am going to be fastening in my loose end as I go. So now we're going to go into the next stitch and place a single crochet into that. And then we're going to skip the next stitch and go into the next. So you've skipped one stitch, go into the next, and then go again into the next with a single crochet. Obviously, we are going to be placing single crochets all the way around. Now you are going, so you've placed 2 single crochets, skip a single crochet and go into the next with a single crochet into the next stitch, and again into the next stitch, skip a stitch and place 2, so 1 single crochet in one stitch and 1 single crochet into the next. And you are simply going to be repeating this pattern all the way around. So 2 single crochets, skip a stitch, 2 single crochets, skip a stitch, and I'll get back to show you the end of this round. Okay, so I'm back and I've almost finished this round. Apologies, I am trying to make this as clear as possible on camera. So I've placed my last 2 single crochets previously, and what I am going to be doing is just slip stitching to the first single crochet like so to close off this round. And as you can see, I'm going to de-zoom a bit, sorry about that. As you can see, this has tightened this part of the project up. So yeah, so now what we are going to be doing is creating our second round, and for the second round we are simply going to be chaining 3, 1, 2 and 3, and this counts as our first double crochet. And what we are so it goes with this first stitch, and what we are going to be doing is placing another double crochet into the next stitch. So go into the next stitch and go into the next stitch with a double crochet and into the next stitch with a double crochet and into the next stitch, and just go around the whole sleeve with a double crochet. So just go ahead and create your row of double crochets, and I'll get back to you to show you the rest of this pattern. Okay, so I'm back and I've almost finished this round, as you can see. So what we are going to be doing now is slip stitching to the first chain 3 that we did. So just go ahead and slip stitch through that chain 3 like so. And now you can see we have a row of double crochets. So what we are going to be doing for the next row, and then the rows after that, is repeating row 2. So that's the row of double crochets. So like I said, we are going to be repeating row 2 of double crochets. So for size S, we will have to repeat this row or round 13 times, which means we will have 14 rounds of double crochets in total. Obviously this is for size S, so you can consult my free pattern at selinaveronique.com for the different sizes and check how many rounds you need. But basically you will be repeating row 2, so 1, 2 and 3, and this counts as our first double crochet. You are going to go into the next stitch with a double crochet, and the next stitch with a double crochet, and again the next stitch with a double crochet. So just go round and round until you have 14 rows of double crochet rounds in total, and then I'll show you what to do then. Okay, so I'm back. I might zoom in a bit. So yes, so I've got 14 rows in total of double crochets, as you can see, and this creates this beautiful sleeve. And what we are going to be doing now is a chain arc edging. So to create our chain arc edging, we are going to be chaining 3, 1, 2 and 3. Let me just zoom in a bit. There we go. And this goes with this first stitch here. We are going to be skipping the very next stitch and going into the next with a single crochet. Now chain 3, 1, 2 and 3. Skip the next stitch and go into the next with a single crochet. So now just chain 3, 1, 2 and 3, skip the next stitch and go into the next with a single crochet, chain 3, 1, 2 and 3, skip a stitch and go into the next with a single crochet, chain 3, 1, 2 and 3, skip a stitch and go into the next with a single crochet, and just carry this on until you reach the end of this round, and I'll show you what to do then. Okay, so I'm back, and as you can see, I've gone all the way around and I've chained my last 3 chains. I'm going to skip the next stitch and go into the very last stitch with a single crochet, like so, and I'm simply going to be fastening off. So fasten off and pull the yarn through the stitch like so, and this has created our beautiful sleeve. So just repeat this process on the other side, and then I'll get back to you to show you the front opening of the cardigan. So we've done our sleeves. Obviously please ignore the loose ends everywhere on my project. And now I'm just going to show you how to do the front opening. So this is my front opening, as you can see, and we're going to go all the way around this front opening. So to do so, you are simply going to be taking your yarn and attaching it again to, and we have switched back to the 6mm crochet hook. So make sure your crochet hook is a 6mm crochet hook. Take your yarn and pull through any stitch and attach your yarn to any stitch. And what we are going to be doing is a single crochet row, so all the way around. So I'm just going to zoom in. So you've attached your yarn, chain 1, go back into that stitch with a single crochet, go into the next stitch. I hope you can, this might be easier. Go back into the stitch with a single crochet and go back into that stitch with a single crochet, and just go all the way around with a single crochet, and this should be really easy. And as I said, just go around the whole front opening. So just go around, and then once you've reached the beginning where we started, I'll show you what to do then. Okay, so I'm back and I finished placing all my single crochets all around the front opening. I'm simply going to go into the first single crochet that we made and slip stitch through that like so, and this is what we have, which is absolutely, I love this project so much. Okay, so now that we've created our row of single crochets, we are going to be creating our shell stitch edging. Edging I would call it. So now just chain 3, 1, 2 and 3, and this of course counts as our first double crochet, and we are going to be going back into that stitch with 4 double crochets. So just go back into that first stitch with 4 double crochets, 1, 2, 3 and 4, and because the chain 3 that we did counts as a double crochet, I'm just going to zoom in because it's so far away. Okay, sorry about that. So yeah, so this first chain 3 counts as a double crochet, so we have 5 double crochets in total, which forms our first shell stitch. What you are going to be doing now is counting 1 and 2, skipping those and going into the next stitch with a single crochet. So just go ahead and place a single crochet into that. Now skip 1 and 2 stitches and go into the next with 5 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So now skip 2 stitches and go into the next with a single crochet, and now skip 1 and 2 stitches and go into the next with 5 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and obviously that creates a shell stitch. Now skip 1 and 2 stitches and go into the next with a single crochet, and now skip 1 and 2 stitches and go into the next with 5 double crochets. And so now you've understood the pattern, so just carry this on until you reach the end of this round, and then I'll show you how to finish off this round. So just carry this on until you finish the end of this round, and if you need extra help, just consult my free pattern on SelenaVeronique.com, and I'll get back to you to show you the end of this project. Okay, so I'm back and I'm trying to show the project as best I can on camera. Obviously this is the front of the cardigan, and I've almost finished the shell stitch edging and I absolutely adore it. So to finish off this edging, so I've placed my last shell stitch, so 5 double crochets. Now what I am going to be doing is skipping 1 and 2 stitches and placing a single crochet into this stitch, and now I am going to be linking this part of the project. So to make it look neat, I like to go through that first chain 3 here that I did and pull the yarn through it and slip stitch like so, and just to make it look nice and neat, so I've slip stitched. And now I'm just going to snip off my yarn like so and pull through. So just pull through, and that's it. We finished this edging. Okay, so this is what we have for now. I absolutely adore this project. Obviously, please ignore all the loose ends. I will be tidying up all the loose ends, but I do love this project so much. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you did. Don't forget to subscribe, like and comment, because that really helps me out and I really appreciate it. And don't forget to check out my Patreon for more crochet content, and I will be linking all of that in the down bar. And once again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day and see you next week.